Okay, guys, so seeing and believing, our beliefs can affect our perception. And so tomorrow in class, we're going to talk about a specific example of science, art, and history. And that little note right here is to let me know that it's in the book that has the thinker on it, just so you know. Problems with eyewitness testimony. There are a few problems that really try to outline what we need to be concerned with whenever there's some kind of eyewitness testimony. And we've talked a little bit about this with the moonwalking bear and some other things, but one of them is that visual memories are not cameras, and this seems like common sense, but that's something that we need to keep in mind. And the reason for that is that our memories are reconstructed. We're going through the past experiences in our mind to try to figure them out. And sometimes we can confuse the source of our memories. And so oftentimes you may have spoken with your parents about something that you kind of remember, but you can't really remember for sure if it happened or if you kind of dreamed that it happened or something like that. And then with mugshots and lineups, our emotions will affect our perception. If somebody looks meaner or if somebody is more visually, if somebody looks mean, we're more likely to say that they're guilty of something or that they're the one. And if they tend to be more visually appealing, then we'll be less likely to accuse them of something, believe it or not. And so empiricism is the study of our sensory or empirical knowledge. And so empiricism is something that we will be talking about for the next few years. We use empiricism when we are conducting scientific experiments. We use empiricism in psychology. We use empiricism a lot. Okay, so obviously our senses are limited. And if we look over here to the right, we can see that our range of vision is very small when we think of everything that is possible to be perceived. And if you look at these questions here, there are some very interesting things to consider because animals, for instance, can see things that we can't see. And then we have to think about how this translates to sound, touch, taste, and smell. And we know, for instance, that hound dogs smell really well, and a lot of dogs hear really well. And that, in terms of what is possible to be perceived, we or other species are limited, whereas some have greater abilities, I guess. And so then what I'd like for you to think of is the implications for what we know about the world and what this means. And so we'll consider that more tomorrow. So what? Here's the biggie. This is what makes it even important at all. So there are 3 reasons to treat perception with caution. We might misinterpret what we see. We might fail to notice something, and we may misremember something. And that's just pretty much in conclusion of everything that I've said. So Descartes, he was a philosopher, and he wanted to reject empirical knowledge, and he believed that only reason was used in order to find truth. And so he didn't make empirical assumptions. He doubted everything that he saw. And so we can look at this, and clearly there's a problem with it. And so he would say, for example, I think, therefore I exist. And there are problems with this, though, because we can't completely throw out all of perception. John Locke, however, he said that objects possess quality that give rise to ideas of color, smell, hardness, etc. And so he talked a lot about primary qualities and secondary qualities. And the primary qualities are things like length and hardness, and secondary qualities are things that are a little bit more relative, color and taste, things that are in the mind and not in the physical objects themselves. And so for him, perception was important. So here are some questions to ponder before class. Which of the two theories do you find more appealing? Can you prove that you exist without appealing to any sensory evidence whatsoever? If you can, what can you deduce from these facts? And what are some problems with Locke's method? What do you think of his distinction between primary and secondary qualities? Most of us would probably say that we like a combination of the two, but I think they're both interesting.